Hello, and welcome to our presentation. My name is Noah, and I will be speaking alongside Nathan, Solomon, and Will about the Freedom Singers and their impact on the civil rights movement. How did the Freedom Singers impact the civil rights movement? When looking back at the civil rights movement and looking at some of the big names, we look at Martin Luther King, James Farmer, Whitney Young, John Lewis. But what about the Freedom Singers? The Freedom Singers were known for having a positive impact on the civil rights movement. They needed their voices to be heard so people could realize this fight against segregation was so important. They had concerts, rallies, and marches. All these events influenced African Americans to stand up and give themselves a voice in this movement. The Freedom Singers are best known for the performance "We Shall Not Be Moved" at the March on Washington. Their performance was so strong, it drew the attention from people all across the country. African Americans and white Americans came together during that song to make a statement that was led by this talented group of people, that they're here. They are here because they have earned the right for freedom.
Who were the Freedom Singers? The Freedom Singers were formed as a group in December of 1962 by a man named Cordell Reagan. The group was a child project of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, with the goals to raise money and awareness for their cause of defeating segregation and racial inequality in America. After their formation, the Freedom Singers toured all across the country, driving more than 50,000 miles and performing in over 40 cities, sometimes playing as many as 3 shows in a day. They were determined and committed to their cause and were not stopped or slowed even when they received threats or had Klan demonstrations at their shows.
In a podcast, Doug Boyd interviews Charles Neblett about his experience as a freedom singer in the civil rights movement. Neblett talks about his life and how his experiences is what led him to join the Freedom Singers. An important instance was when Emmett Till was lynched and the 2 people who committed the crime were brought to court and later acquitted. Another incident was the bus boycotts that was going on around in the South. This made Neblett feel worthless and wanted to change that. When Charles joined the group, he felt inspired, as well as many other individuals. Charles goes on by saying, quote, "It's like I got religion. It just lifted off of me. I said, it's on, it's on, it's on. I saw black men and black women doing something, standing to this system, and I just couldn't wait to really get involved in that process." End quote. Neblett, 656 to 720. This inspiration helped many African Americans. Those who were once feared for their lives were now fighting, not caring about what happened to them. They know that with numbers, they can make a huge impact all over the country.
I asked Andrew Stoga question number 1, to which he replied, "I've never noticed that music influenced my opinions of things. I'd much rather formulate my own opinions on topics as opposed to mimicking what an artist or band says. I would rather read up on something and have my own opinion, one that truly reflects my core beliefs." To use a heavily discussed and controversial figure, President Trump, as an example, I firmly believe that if you ask someone who hates him, after hearing public figures bash him, they couldn't tell you why they hate him. People like to copy the behaviors of their idols, especially in the music scene. I then asked question number 2, and he answered, "Freedom of speech is incredibly important. It is what allows artists and creators to say what they want, unfiltered, to the audience." Finally, I asked Andrew question number 3, and his response was, "Entertainment media is sometimes used to push a certain political agenda. Entertainment media has such a wide range of influence on a large audience, it's the perfect tool to influence decisions. Eminem had a song last year where he bashed President Trump the entire time. Instances like that occur a lot and help listeners formulate an opinion."
In the summer of 1962, SNCC workers and residents in Mississippi went on a bus to register to vote. The bus was later stopped by local police and arrested the bus driver because he was, quote, "driving a bus of the wrong color," end quote. Freedom won. As a group of African Americans were scared for their lives, they heard a woman singing songs that were known as freedom songs. This drove the fear away of the African American. The freedom songs gave them courage, and the songs itself is what became a huge part for SNCC. William Peacock talks about the power of freedom singing by saying, quote, "We couldn't stop singing freedom songs. Those songs had a real message that night. Freedom comes through knowledge and power, political power," end quote. Freedom 4. This article helps us answer the question of the freedom singers' impact on the civil rights movement because it details how the music was a driving force of activism. The music of the freedom singers gave the activists courage in a time where they could have been killed for standing up for what they believe in.
Technology and music. Music has been a major influencer of large groups of people for centuries. However, in the past century, technology has greatly enabled the effectiveness of this use of music, as things like the radio, records, television, and eventually the internet evolved and were used to spread the important ideas that are often put into songs. The Freedom Singers were popular at a perfect time to take advantage of some of these mediums, as they could not only be heard at their concerts, but on their broadcasts on the radio or television as well, helping to increase the reach of their message. They also produced a record entitled "We Shall Overcome" that displayed some of their most powerful and impactful songs.
Next, I asked Arturo Moscoso question number 1, and he answered, "Yes, a piece of music that I have listened to has shaped my opinions. The song El Matador by Los Fabulosos Cadillac is a song written about the Argentine Dirty War and the Chilean dictatorship under Pinochet. This song influenced me because it made me realize how the United States knew this was happening and let it happen. It made me realize that Latin America was not important." Then I asked him question number 2, to which he responded, "My favorite artists don't get political in their songs. They talk about love, heartbreak, and the good times. Their songs focus about partying and sometimes about the thug life. But outside of music, they're political because they aren't afraid to step up for Latino rights and immigration. They also talk about the past in Colombia and how the music should glorify the narcos." Finally, I asked Arturo question number 3, and his response was, "In this country, freedom of speech is very important. We hold freedom of speech as a right given to the people. Freedom of speech in music is allowed, but artists don't really use it much. They don't want to sound political, they just want to be objective. Even though they have it, they want to make money."
Political music then and now. Political music has been described by musical historians as being popularized in 1939 with Billie Holiday's song "Strange Fruit," which hauntingly described lynchings in the South. This song spread like wildfire across the country, and whether you supported segregation or not, you more than likely knew this song and had an opinion on it, if you lived in America at this time. From there, popular political music continued to grow and expand, extended to all different genres of music, including rock, rap, and blues. Today, political music is everywhere, with one of the most popular songs of this year, 2018, being "This Is America" by Childish Gambino, about inequality and oppression of African Americans in modern America. While we may have defeated segregation, many of the issues of the past are still present today, and musicians are helping the fight for equal rights and true freedom. It is imperative that we listen to their cries and stand up for what is truly right.
In conclusion, we learned that the Freedom Singers made music to impact others. The Freedom Singers brought a ton of support for the movement. Without their passion and motivation, they would not have been able to achieve their goals. Not only did they make an impact on the civil rights movement, but we noticed that they impacted music as well. By combining politics and passion, they were making popular music. At the end of the day, the Freedom Singers are known for being impactful towards so much that still impacts us today.